And then he like grabs his heart and like, you know when your heart skips a beat and yeah. Should I keep going? Okay. Anyway, so my daughter just laughed and
normally it's awkward and the guy's like, doing stuff with your wife, but it's totally normal here in life.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. Don't.
What?
The microphone.
We're recording
this
on the video back there, so this is the audio version for the video. That's why I'm switching this time.
I guess I didn't know. Is that good? All right. Woo. Okay. So back to my little story. My daughter just laughed about it and was so excited, and we all laughed and had a good laugh about it. And so I was thinking just today, as it was April Fool's, I just want you guys all to know that if you're here tonight, you are not a fool. And this is the most real opportunity that you'll see in your lifetime. And I'm super proud of this business. So I looked up some quote about fools on the internet. I just thought it'd be fun to check it out for today. Let's see. It says, "I pitied a fool." Just kidding. That wasn't it. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. This is it. A wise person does. Okay. You know what? Rob would have done something like that. Okay. So. Okay. A wise person does at once what a fool does at last. Both do the same thing, only at different times. And that totally reminds me of our story, because when we first got introduced to this information, I really was looking. Colin was working 2 jobs, and I had just gotten let go from my job. And we were, with the 3 jobs, we were struggling to make ends meet as it was. But me being let go, it was just, getting money out of the cushions and everything just to pay the bills. And so when Rob introduced us to this, I was in that looking phase, and I saw it for what it was. Not so much that it's become, but I saw it just enough. And so I took the information. I said, you know what, we're doing this, Colin. And he was not happy about it at all. But I knew that it was something good about it. There was something right. And so I came to an event, and almost immediately they started talking about this thing called a major function. And you've heard it explained a little bit, but it's where everybody in all of Life Leadership gets together, and we're going to be in Kansas City in a couple weeks. And it's powerful. And if I could talk to each of you one-on-one and let you know how powerful that is, I would. It goes from your head and you're thinking of, what is this? I'm not really sure what this is, and it goes into your heart deeply. And that's exactly what it did. Colin, I asked him, hey, he was not going to go, and I asked him, can you at least just get me a buddy pass from one of your friends at the airport? And he said, sure, I guess I will. And so he dropped me to the airport, and it took me 36 hours from Phoenix Airport to get to Columbus, Ohio, which is where it was. And I was eating, I don't know what I was eating, and I was sleeping on, I don't know what I was, just dirty floors and scary airports and meeting strange people. And then I show up to this convention, and there's just a huge stadium of people, and a TV, just like music and all this great energy. What was I thinking? I don't like crowds. I don't like music. What was I thinking? This is not me, and I don't even like people. Did I say that? Sorry. I do. I love people now, but, I'm a recovering, people not get along with. I don't know, yeah. So anyway, but so Rebecca, she's amazing. She's one of my most closest friends, but it was pretty much like the first time we ever hung out, but she just brought me in, gave me a big hug, and she's just that way. She just loves on people. And, gave me a seat and said, hey, you're good, you made it here, right? And so, but what was really cool was I saw person after person, wife edifying their husband, husbands running for a dream, and story after story of people who had overcome a lot more more things than we had overcome. And like I said, it's just it's a powerful, if you can, whatever you do, get an extra, do an extra job or something so that you can get there. I promise your life will change. It changed my life, and I'm so, so grateful for the opportunity that it is. So get to Kansas City. I'm telling you, it'll change your life. So, but yeah, I'm gonna let Colin finish up. But this guy is awesome. Even though he was slow to see what this was, he's just a powerful person and a loving person, and he truly reaches people deeply, a lot more than I can. But he is one of my best friends, and he just truly has become such an amazing, powerful man, and I'm so grateful for him. And here he is. Oh, I forgot my phone.
Look into my eyes when you do that. Yeah. Hey, he told me he loved me, so it was good. Good job, Randy. Hey, didn't Harmony do awesome? She is so awesome, yeah. You know what, it's funny, you talk about not wanting to go. Not only did I not want to go, I was hoping that the buddy pass would be a deterrent. So, she called me from Midway Airport, hey, I'm sleeping on the floor, and I'm like, yeah, I bet that's fun. And she's like, no, but I'm back to back with some girl that I just met. I don't even know, I'm not sure if she's going to steal my stuff or if we're protecting each other. I'm like, it'll work out. Whatever, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I would never do that. That's the kind of guy I was. And then I was hoping, because I knew she didn't like big crowds, I was pretty sure she was okay with people. I didn't know she didn't like people, but, so I was hoping that when she called that first time that she was going to say, you were right, this was the dumbest thing I've ever done, there's too many people here, they're weird, and all that. And I did, I got the call. I got the call Friday night at I don't know, it was probably 1 o'clock my time, so 3 o'clock their time. She's like, hey, and I'm like, so how was it? Come on. And she's like, you got to get a buddy pass. You got to get out here. And I go, wait, what? She goes, no, tomorrow, get one. Call whoever. And I'm like, you're crazy. They've got you snookered. And she's like, no, seriously, you need to get here. And I'm like, I ain't coming. I'm not coming. She goes, well, I'm not leaving. And I was like, all right. So she came back, and you guys, she was so weird. She was so weird. She was happy. She was fired up. She had a vision, and I just thought, man, what happened out there? And is this going to last? And so tonight, I just want to share just a couple minutes that if you have not made a decision to get to this major function, do whatever it takes to get there, because I'm telling you, it'll absolutely go from your head to your heart. And as someone that wasn't sure about this, I knew Rob and Kenyon. I knew Rob. Right? We went to church together for 5 years. And so when he started calling me about this, I just thought, oh, he's trying to sell us something. Because how many of you guys know Rob? Right? Most of you, right? He's amazing, isn't he? Right? Amazing. Always has energy, always excited. And I just thought, there's nobody on earth that can be 100% real and be like that, right? It's just not real. But it is. With Rob, it's absolutely real all the time. I wonder if he even sleeps when he's asleep. I think he's really just kind of resting and going through information on the back of his eyelids, waiting for the sun to come up so he can get going again, right? It's ridiculous. I love it. And so, but that's the energy that I started to get around. That's what changed. That's what started to knock the blocks of ice off of my heart and start to see that there really are people that care in this world. Because like Harmony said, I'd gotten beaten down. We had lost some businesses. We had lost a lot of money, and really I just started to question, what am I really meant to do in this world? Why am I even here, right? Because I saw people go through 2008 with flying colors. Anybody see people go through with flying colors? And you start to wonder, what are they doing? Why are they so blessed, and what's wrong with me? That's what I started to say. That's the story that I started to play over and over and over in my mind. And so if you're here and you're not sure about what this is about, or if you're not sure you can do this, you're my people, right? That's where I was at. And so I'm here to tell you that this absolutely is for you, and you can absolutely do that. And I was reading some stuff today that really set in with me lately, because in order for us to get different results, we've got to do something different, don't we? We've got to create that emotion so that it creates motion, right? You've got to get yourself in that state. Well, we can't do that sitting on the couch. We can't do that going home to work, and then getting through the weekend, and then it's already Monday again. That's not working, is it? That's not working. And so we've got to do something different. And that's why we hold these events. That's why we have a community. That's why Rob did such a great job talking about now we've even monetized that movement. Why? So that we can get you living your purpose. And, I was just thinking how fitting it is that we're meeting at the Rockin' R Ranch. And it made me think about some of my ancestors. And I know a lot of you out there have pioneer ancestors, or you have ancestors that maybe settled here or were already here or came up from, South America, whatever it is. You have ancestors that were pioneers. And I thought about some of my pioneer ancestors because I thought about the legacy that they've left for our family. And some of you guys know my last name is Bryce. My great-grandpa settled up in southern Utah and then eventually down here, Ebenezer Bryce, Bryce Canyon, and all that stuff. But I started thinking about that, so I did some research. And it turned out that his family came over from England and then were part of the migration west. But his story is one, if you read it from my standpoint, it would almost be a story of tragedy. They came through, they had a vision. First of all, they had a vision, right? Who would possibly leave comfort and wealth in their country to absolute poverty to come across and hopefully make it to somewhere where they could settle in the West so that they could have that religious freedom, right? Who would do that? Well, someone with a vision would do that, right? And they would do anything it took to get there. And so what they did is they did that. But remember that when they came across, were the conditions ideal? No. Did they have all the equipment that they needed to get across? No. Was there some tragedy along the way? Were there some bumps and bruises? Heck yeah. They had to cross icy rivers, right? They had to bury loved ones. They had to deal with starvation. They walked across snow and ice without shoes, right? And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, my air conditioning doesn't even get cold until I hit the freeway sometimes. It's ridiculous, right? Or, you know what? I actually have to TiVo something so I can watch the top 10, right? Sports Center top. It's ridiculous. Sometimes I miss it, right? I mean, these are the things that I've got to deal with. And I just started thinking, those are ridiculous, right? Think about the things that they had to overcome. But then I love this, that right now, every single one of us in this room, every one of you, has the ability to be the pioneer in your family in our day and age. To get out, absolutely, absolutely. And here's why. Here's why. Because we're in a battle. We're absolutely in a battle. We're in a battle to gain our culture back. We're in a battle to gain our freedom back. I love what Shane said, that politics is always downstream from culture, right? So if we're going to do that, we need a group of committed people. Now, I don't know about you. I grew up on a farm in southern Arizona with parents that didn't teach me anything about finance. They taught me a lot of great things, but finances wasn't one of them, right? And so I was just duplicating what they did, and that's the results I was getting. And then here's the results. Let me just tell you a little bit so you can understand what's possible for you. Since joining Life Leadership, because of my awesome wife and her vision, my family and I, outside of our home, are completely debt-free. Completely debt-free, absolutely. Our children have bought into the fact that reading and listening to audios is cooler than watching TV. Our kids, absolutely. Our kids go out and play and talk about these things rather than sit and talk about high scores on video games. And we get to associate with winners like Easton and Rebecca Kelsey, like Rob and Kenyon Robson, like Manasseh and Lisa Fotu, and Big Jim and Sweet Mary, and all the other leaders in this room. We're only here because we didn't quit, we didn't give up, and we followed the examples of people that are just ahead of us, that have gone through some stuff. Those are the pioneers we're following, that we can absolutely see their real-world examples. So what is it for you? You're here tonight, so glad you guys are here. It's worthy of your time. You can be that pioneer in your family. You've just got to decide if you're going to be it or not and make a decision tonight. Don't go to bed without that. And so with that, we appreciate you guys' time tonight. That's all I have. And so with that, thank you. Go ahead. No, it's good to clap. So with that, we get the privilege of introducing this next couple, and I'm super excited to do that. I'm going to let Harmony introduce the women.
All right. I get to introduce Rebecca Kelsey, and I absolutely love her. I mean, most of you probably already know her, and if you haven't, you need to meet her. Like I said, she took me under her wing, and she's just like that all the time. And she's always got a big heart for everyone, and I just absolutely such an amazing teacher, and she knows this business so, so well, and she's just powerful at reaching so many people. So super excited to have her come up.
Awesome. Absolutely. And this gentleman, Easton, we got introduced to Easton and Rebecca through Rob and his friendship. And, it's always so fun when you come into an organization because you get introduced to a lot of people and you just wonder, like, how's this going to work out? And from day one, this couple has not only been caring, but this gentleman has absolutely been probably the most patient and straightforward teacher that I've seen and been associated with. This gentleman's had success, eye doctor, done very well. He's the father of 6 teenage children, which is miraculous in and of itself. But he is absolutely has a clear vision of where he wants to go and where he wants to take a ton of people. And he's absolutely doing that. He's leading one of the biggest organizations. Like Shane and Janelle said, they're our common mentors. And so we get a lot out of that. And so with that, if you guys will please get to your feet, help us welcome Easton and Rebecca Kelsey.
Happy April Fool's Day. Speaking of April Fool's Day, I'm just going to, where's what? Oh, I'll just put this down and hold it. I don't have a pocket. So I was just on the phone, I just got a text from a gal that we know in Utah. They're actually doing an event kind of like this there. Manasseh Fotu and Lisa Fotu are there. And I got permission to tell everybody this, but they just announced that Lisa Fotu is pregnant with triplets. Isn't that awesome? Okay, April Fools. Like, of course.
You gotta tell them why that's really funny. Some people don't know.
Some people don't know that they have 13 children right now. For reals. Anyway, so I'm so proud of all of you guys for being here. I had the opportunity to talk to you for just a couple of minutes and share a couple of things that have been on my heart. Actually, it's been kind of a fun day at our house. I got a phone call from a young man that goes to high school with my daughter, Lindy, and he said, hey, I was just wondering, I wanted to get permission if I could ask your daughter to prom. And I thought, that is so adorable. Absolutely, you are cute. So what he doesn't know is that she has had a clear, very clear intention that she was going to be asked. But she didn't want to get her hopes up, so she kind of started to doubt herself, and then last night she was telling us, like, okay, I'm going to prom. I know somebody's going to ask me to prom, so I got to go look for a dress. I have no idea who's asking me, but I'm going to go find a dress. So she went prom dress shopping last night, and then I got this call from this cute guy, and I said, yeah, absolutely. So I had to kind of like sneak around and get her out of the house so that the kid could go. And now they do these things where they set up like balloons in the room and do all these crazy ways of asking. And so there's a contest at their school of who has the most creative way of asking someone to prom. I don't really know what he's done. I'm sure I'll find out when I get home. But convincing her to come with me and being sneaky is not my strong suit. I didn't know how I was going to convince her to go. I'm like, okay, so come to the event with me and Easton tonight and hang out with us. It's a great Friday night fun date, family night, you know. She's like, whatever, I got stuff. I'm going to go hang out with friends or whatever. And she had excuse after excuse after excuse. And finally, I convinced her to come with us. It included dinner, of course. We would have to include dinner. And so we got her into the car, and little did she know she was being asked to prom. But it's going to be really fun to see that. But what I wanted to talk to you guys about was the power of a clear intention. I remember when we first got started, and Rob and Randy and Kenyon and Cammie, and they were talking to us about how there would be this amazing thing called a major convention, and you guys should go. And I thought, well, okay, you know, if we can get off work or if we can get away from the kids. And we had only been married for about 6 weeks, and we had a major convention coming up. And so I wasn't really that excited or interested in taking off and leaving my family and going out of town and him getting off of work. Well, he wasn't able to get off of work. Unfortunately, he's an eye doctor, so he was seeing patients and he couldn't reschedule. So I went by myself. happened to be what we call a power player. So I was able to sit in the very, very front of the convention center. And I got a bird's eye view, not a bird's eye, I guess it would just be a front row view, actually, of these amazing leaders and speakers. Well, that evening, the first night that we got there, we had the opportunity to go to a meeting after the meeting with Chris and Terry Brady. And I remember Chris was sharing a story. He was really emotional that night. And he was sharing a story about the time that his mentor had been, he was in the running for a contest at another convention. And he was on stage, and he saw basically, the name that was called out was not the name of the mentors, the person that he was working with, his name. So he watched from stage this experience happening, that this person that he had been working with was not winning this contest he was running for. These balloons are falling down, and he's kind of standing there like, what? We worked so hard. How did he not win? And he knew in that moment, just standing there in this moment, this brief moment, that he knew he had to do better. He knew he had to show up differently the next time, so that when he went to the next convention, he would help them win this contest. And we do crazy things in this business. We run for goals and dreams, and we do fun things, but I remember that clearly, that Chris had made a decision in that moment that he was going to have a clear intention that the next time he went to a convention, that they would win as a team, and they did. And so not long after that, at another convention, Easton and I had the opportunity to watch Rob and Kenyon Robson go up and be recognized as coordinators. And we all went up to the front as a team, and we were standing and taking pictures of them. And Chris and Terry Brady announced that Rob and Kenyon Robson were going to come out and speak to us because they had just hit the coordinator level. And I remember standing, I was like, if I'm on the stage right here, they were talking, and I was right there. And I was looking up at them, and I'm thinking, that is absolutely, like, looking at them, knowing that they were living their purpose, and that they had a very clear intention that they were going to get there. And so in that moment, I made a very conscious decision that we would show up every time, we would be at everything, we were going to run for our goals and dreams, because if it wasn't us being recognized, which is not the most important thing, it's that we can help our leaders and mentors get their goals and dreams. Does that make sense? Because sometimes we have to run for someone else if we're not going to run for ourselves. And so we have the opportunity in the next few weeks, in the next couple of weeks, for something that's really, really going to be an epic experience. Rob and Kenyon Robson are going to be recognized as life coach at the Kansas City Major Convention. Now, if you are new here and you don't know what that means that they pretty much are amazing. Their kids are going to be there. They're going to look amazing. I know without a shadow of a doubt that Rob and Kenyon they had a clear intention, number one, and they have been visualizing this experience for as long as they've been in this. Their kids will be there. And I feel that it is my honor and my duty to be there to recognize them, to honor them, and to congratulate and show up for them as they're recognized at this amazing event in 2 weeks. So I can't overemphasize what it is for you. I know that Lindy had the intention that she was going to go to prom. It's fun. But it was that very clear intention, and it's happening. And so what is it for you? Do you have a very clear intention of where you want to go, what you want to do, and where you want to run with this? And I can promise you this, that when you go there, you're going to see that through other people, you will find purpose, passion, and an intention for where you're going in this business when you go. So I invite you to come along. If you don't have your ticket yet, grab it. I'm going to bring Easton up here to share a little bit about his story and his journey with this. But it was awesome talking to you. And with that, I'm going to bring up Mr. Easton Kelsey.
How's everybody doing tonight? Awesome. So as an eye doctor, we're going to talk about vision. So let me try an eyeball here. No, not really. But we are going to talk about vision. Not that kind of vision. We're going to talk about the most important kind of vision, real vision, right? So the type of vision I learned as an eye doctor is that seeing is believing. But the truth of the matter is believing is seeing. And that's a whole different way of looking at things. And no pun intended. So we're going to talk about vision. And that is tomorrow's reality expressed today. And so you got to figure out what is that you want to express. We've been talking about some of that tonight. We've been talking about dreams. We're talking about belief. I want to talk about how we get the vision of what we want. We call that the dream. Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich calls it a burning desire. Okay, a dream is not a passive thing. It's not just something that is on a wish list. It's not a wish list, it's a fantasy. Okay? It's got to be something that you want bad enough that you're going to do something. You're going to do something. Okay? And so that is, I talk about the word faith. What is if you do not take action, it's not faith. Shane talked about fear. But 98% of people, why are they living in fear? Because they don't have the faith. So you've got to have that belief. I had a belief that I was supposed to change the world through influencing, through leadership and liberty. And I thought that pathway for me was through politics. I was involved with the Tea Party, and I ran for Congress about 5 years ago. I was tired of sitting on the sideline. I wanted to do something about it. And I got involved, and it opened up my eyes to a lot of different things. But I realized along the way that I was trying to step into a system that I was trying to change, and I was going to become the problem with most people who have good intentions. What's his name? Mr. Smith goes to Washington, right? A lot of people have those pure intentions. They want to go out there and make a difference, and then they go out and they're running into the corruption. That's what politics means, guys. It's corruption, okay? And what I found out was that if I was going to change the world, I needed to by starting to change me. And I need to start with something called principles. Because principles because what I noticed is that when it came to politics, that when push came to shove, politics always trumped principle. And I realized, what is it? What is the principle? Principle is something that's universal and it's timeless. It's truth, guys. It's truth. And so you've got to have truth. And you've got to be able to step forward. When you live truth, when you live principles, you're actually creating freedom. You're creating liberty for yourself and for others in society. Do you see the power of that? Do you see the power of people? Do you see 2% of the world making a change for the rest of the world, creating a tipping point? Do you see it? Because I do. And if you want to see it, you've got to build your belief. And I can tell you what, for me, one of the things that really created a belief, in fact, when Rob first invited me to go to the convention, I had some excuses. The excuse was I was broke, and one was that I didn't have any time. So it was pretty good. Right? And so, but what I realized was if I didn't do something different, I would always have those excuses. Okay? I would always have my results, actually. In fact, can you guys see what this is? You see what that is? It's a tight wad. Okay? And if you are a tight wad, you are never going to have a tight wad. And so what I found out was I needed to have belief in my dream that I was willing to commit to it. Whatever it took to bring it to pass. And so for me, I realized I've got to make that commitment. No matter what it takes. I'm already broke. I mean, how much deeper can you go, right? So I had to realize this organization started to teach me to invest in myself, invest in my thinking. That was the most important thing to invest in. Because this leads to everything else, guys. That's why belief is so important. And if you want to have that belief, for me, I was at a crossroads when I went to my first international convention. And I actually heard a guy named Oliver DeMille. Oliver DeMille is a protege of a guy named Cleon Skousen. He wrote a book called The 5,000-Year Leap, a lot of other great books. But he talks about the 28 principles that are embedded into the Constitution and why we have such freedom. Why in a matter of 200 years, or maybe in 100 years, we created more prosperity, more advancements in society than the previous 5,000. Because of that. Because of living principles. And because of wisdom. And he talked about a freedom shift. He talked about in all societies that had freedom, they had three things. They had leadership culture. They had people who were business ownership minded. And had people that could think for themselves. Do you see how those ingredients are important in a free society? Absolutely. And so I went to another convention. I was actually still involved with politics, and there was actually a big state meeting, and I'm going here. I'm going to get my dream. And I went there, and I realized it was that day. Warren Woodward gave a talk called Subway to Metropolitan. Some of you heard it. If you haven't, get a hold of it, okay? Because that's where I was. I was in the subway of life. I was holding myself small and thinking this was the way I was going to change the world, was through this political pathway. And for me, I realized at that moment, I made a major decision that my pathway was going to be life coach in life leadership. I knew that I was going to change more lives and influence more people to think more clearly and vote more clearly, subsequently, by being a life coach than by being a politician. I'm not saying that's for everybody, but I'm just telling you, if you want to get clarity on your dream, if you want to get clarity on your purpose, what you think would be the most important thing in life, why are you here? What's that little dash between your birth and your death date? What does it mean? What kind of legacy are you going to leave behind? Is it worth it to invest to get clarity on your purpose and your dream? Then figure out a way to hang out with a group of people that are changing the world. Get to Kansas City. Do what it takes. And the last thing I'm going to say, and I don't think it's any accident, because we talked about the financial matrix and breaking that down. 2 weeks from tonight. What is the date? April 15th. Do you know the significance of that date? Enough said. It is our privilege to go ahead and introduce this next guest, and I'll go ahead and let Rebecca introduce the fine young lady.
Okay, I'm so excited to introduce this next couple. This lady has been a shining light for me. She is so fun, and she spends lots and lots of weekends up here on this stage. Have you guys ever seen somebody play the saw? Is that what we call it? The saw. This woman does that. She's amazing, but not only that. They're amazing musicians, they're amazing entertainers, but they're great speakers, great friends of ours, and amazing leaders. And I'm going to introduce the gentleman.
Absolutely. And I talked about dreaming, and it's a perfect segue because I'm going to introduce to you a professional dreamer. If it wasn't for his dream, if it wasn't for his thoughts, if it wasn't for his passion and faith to take action on that, you would not be sitting in this room right now. So just a man who's inspiring, who actually understands that to touch the lives of millions of people, that this organization is going to do that. And so let us help him. Help us welcome to the stage senior coordinators Jim and Mary Robson.
Wow, thank you. double mic. How's everybody tonight? Good? Pretty cool for a Friday night, just hanging out, right? I want to take you back a bit to when we, as a family, got excited about this kind of business. And I remember when the boys were younger, and it wasn't exactly this, but it was kind of this. And the first time we saw it, you know, our friend said, "Oh, Jim and Mary, they don't need anything. They have the Rock on Our Ranch." Well, we did, and we do, but we also had a lot of debt, and we also didn't really run our life. It kind of ran us. If you have your own business, you know what I mean. But I thought, wow, it would be really nice to be out of debt and to be able to have more freedom. And basically, the information was so great that it just pulled us all in. In fact, if you can imagine us all sitting around the little cassette player and watching the fish tank while we listened to these CDs and or the cassettes, and just realizing how exciting the information is. How many of you are brand new? Raise your hand if you're brand new. Good, 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 good. Well, the excitement was so great that we